Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. We'll open up the phone lines. 888-589-8840 is the number to call if you want to join the program. 888-589-8840 is the number to call. On the values front, got a story here about a Connecticut foster mother who is being sent to prison for 100 days for spanking a 4-year-old with a spoon, with a wooden spoon. She's going to prison for 100 days. Now, what the child had done is the child had struck this woman's granddaughter. It was a foster daughter, so this is a foster mother. And this 4-year-old had struck her granddaughter, had spit at the foster mother, and had used a racial slur. She needed to be disciplined, and she used a wooden spoon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what my wife and I used with our children. We had wooden spoons everywhere. We had them in the bathroom. We kept a wooden spoon in the bathroom. We had one in the glove box of the car. Debbie might have had one in her purse for all I know. But that was the instrument of choice. We didn't want our children to associate discipline with our hands. We wanted to be associated with a neutral object. But they knew that we meant business. If they deliberately, willfully disobeyed a rule, we'd make sure they understood why they were being disciplined. They had to tell us why they were being spanked. So they knew that it wasn't just because we got upset or we lost our tempers, because they made a willful choice to violate a known standard established by their parents. Then they were disciplined. You know, we'd pull their little pants down and spank them on their bare bottoms. Just a marvelously designed specifically for that purpose. It was smart, wouldn't break the skin, it wouldn't bruise, but it was a marvelously effective tool. And once they understood that we meant business, all we had to do is ask the question, do you want me to get the spoon? And man, they would shape right up. Now, what's happening here, this is in Norwich, Connecticut. What this story is indicating, if a parent does that today, do what Debbie and I did, raising our children to maturity, you could go to prison for that. She's going to prison, not to jail. She's going to prison for exercising appropriate biblical discipline. Be interested to know what you think about that. A story here from Denmark, published in the International Journal of Cancer. And this is an interesting thing. You know, the Bible says it is not good for the man to be alone. Therefore, I will make a helpmeet for him. God says this. Looking at Adam there, all the other animals, they've got companions. And there was no helper, there was no mate that was found for Adam. He named them all, saw them all, nothing in there that was a match for Adam. So God says, look, this is not good. It's not good for the man to be alone. I am going to make a helper who is suitable for him. And that's when he created Eve and brought him to the man. So we know, according to what God said when he created man, it's not good for the man to be alone. Now, here is a study from the International Journal of Cancer in Denmark. Listen to this. Few population-based studies have investigated the relation between living arrangements and risk of invasive penile squamous cell carcinoma. I don't have any idea what that is, but it sounds really bad. It's a cancer. So they've studied the incidence of cancer occurring in people based and correlated it with their domestic living arrangements. Are they married or are they single? Here's what they discovered. We examined the relation between marital status, cohabitation status, and the risk of this cancer. The average incidence, according to the World Health Organization, of this particular cancer is 1.05 cases per 100,000 person years. Got no idea what that would be in dog years, but it's 1.05 cases per 100,000 person years. That's the average, 1.05. Now, for those that were unmarried, the instance of cancer was 1.37 instead of 1.05. It was elevated. It was higher. For those that were divorced, the rate of cancer, 1.49. I can believe it. I saw what divorce did to my father. Just completely destroyed him, devastated him. He looked like an Auschwitz survivor by the time the effect of that divorce got through with him. I can understand why people are more vulnerable to certain diseases, including cancer. 1.49 for those that have been divorced. 1.05 is the normal figure. For those that are widowed, a 1.36. risk increased with increasing numbers of prior opposite sex and same-sex cohabitations. In other words, promiscuity, whether it's of the heterosexual variety or the same-sex variety, made you more susceptible to cancer. In conclusion, single living Danish men and men who are not currently married are at increased risk of this particularly horrible sounding cancer, and the risk increases with the number of prior cohabitations, perhaps reflecting less stable sexual relations in these subgroups. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, Bible could have saved them if they just paid attention to the Bible. They could have saved all the money and time it took to do this research. The Bible has said very clearly, sex is a powerful thing. It's designed exclusively for the relationship in marriage between one man and one woman. You fool around outside of that arrangement, it's going to be bad for you. And we find out that the International Journal of Cancer validating what the Bible has said for 3,500 years. All right, 888-589-8840 is the number to call. A lot to talk about. Let's go to the phones. Let's grab a call from William in Marion, Ohio. William, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
I had a couple questions about the comments and everything about immigration and the way the politics are going.
Yeah.
I kind of know that they are doing this amnesty bill and all that, and I heard a talker on the radio the other day about, if they legalize all of them, they will no longer be working under the table, that they will pretty much flood the market and everything, taking countless American jobs and all that.
That's correct.
And it's just amazing that the government would even consider doing this stuff, seeing that the economy is in a fragile state anyway.
Yeah. Well, you're exactly right, and I appreciate that. And Heritage Foundation said, look, this thing is going to wind up increasing the federal deficit by $6.3 trillion. It's particularly going to harm low-skilled workers, the very people we're concerned about, the little guy that Barack Obama and everybody says they're concerned about. We want to help the little guy. It's all about the little guy. Well, it's the little guy that gets hurt because this flood of 11 to 12 million instantly legalized illegal aliens will be competing. Their average educational level is 10th grade. They are going to be competing with people for low-skilled jobs. We've already got an astronomical unemployment rate among those with low education attainment. The last thing we need is another 12 million people competing for those same jobs. You think the unemployment rate is bad now. In fact, Rob, grab clip number 2. No, not clip number 2. Where is it's the Ted Cruz clip. Yeah, clip 9. Let's go to clip 9. Ted Cruz talking about this immigration monstrosity. It is a monstrosity, ladies and gentlemen. And Ted Cruz, now remember, Ted Cruz is the anti-Marco Rubio. These are the two great hopes for the Republican Party to make inroads into the Latino community. Marco Rubio thinks the way you do it is you pander and you reward lawbreaking. Somehow Marco Rubio has been told this is the key to getting the Hispanic vote. This is the key for you to get to the White House 2016. Not so fast. Ted Cruz isn't falling for any of that bilge. He says, look, I'm for immigration reform, but it better make sense, and this bill is not going to get it done. Let's listen.
I want common sense immigration reform to pass. I think our immigration system is broken. I think there are large bipartisan majorities in this country that want common sense immigration reform to pass. And this bill, in my view, has two major problems. Number one, it doesn't fix the problem. It doesn't stop illegal immigration. If anything, it may make the problem worse by not securing the border and by incentivizing future illegal immigration, which means human tragedies would flow as a direct result if this bill were to become law. But number two, I believe in its current form, this bill is not likely to become law. It may well have the votes to pass the Senate, but I do not believe this bill will pass the House of Representatives or become law, and I would view that as a terrible outcome.
That's a terrible outcome. It's not going to pass the House of Representatives. Ted Cruz saying, look, I know that for a fact. It's not going to pass the House. No way it's getting through. And so it's just all of this is a waste of time. And he makes the point is that this actually will make the problem worse by not securing the border. He is absolutely right. There is no border security provision in this bill. Marco Rubio's out there saying these are the toughest border security provisions in history. Well, they're none there. They've got 5 years. All Janet Napolitano has to do to satisfy the requirements of this bill is come up with a strategy to secure the border. She's got 6 months to come up with a strategy, not accomplish anything, just come up with a plan, and then she'll have 5 years to do something about that. And if they don't get the border secured in 5 years, then they form a commission, a meaningless, toothless commission. All it can do is make recommendations. So this is a perfectly horrible bill. So appreciate the call. That was a great call. Let's go to Bill in Billington, West Virginia. Bill, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hello, Brian.
Hey.
I was going to make a comment about homosexuality in the military, but after listening to your last segment, I just wanted to make a comment on that if I could.
Yeah.
I came to this country in 1952. I was 8 years old with my mother and father from Canada. We had to sign up every January, February for green cards. We had to be here 7 years before we were allowed to become citizens. And my mother and father instilled upon my sister and I both not to get in any trouble at all in this country. It's the finest country in the world, and not to get in any trouble, to live a good life and to be good. Stay out of trouble. Even a traffic ticket my father would get upset over if he were to get one. Whatever happened with with the immigration laws we had, and I heard you say, Ted Cruz said, if we have a problem with our immigration laws, maybe we don't have a problem with it. The problem with it is we don't have people that can administer them the right way.
I think you're exactly right, Bill. The problem is not that we don't have good immigration laws, it's that we're not enforcing them.
Exactly.
That's the problem. We don't really need immigration reform.
No.
We've got good immigration laws. Let's just have somebody go out and enforce them.
Right.
All right, I got about 30 seconds. You got one more point?
Okay, I did want to make a comment about the homosexuality in the military.
Yes, sir.
I was enlisted in the Air Force in 1966, Vietnam 67 and 68, returned, went to Andrews Air Force Base. This has only happened to me one time during my 4 or 5 years in the military, but we had an emergency or unscheduled commander's call. When we all showed up, and it was a civil engineering squadron, a big squadron, so we had to go to the movie theater, the first sergeant went up to the podium, and he excused every officer in the room. Now you knew there was going to be something going on here.
Okay, Bill, would you be willing to hang on for 2 minutes?
Sure.
I've got a hard break. I can't do anything about it. Come up. If you'll stay on, let you finish your story after the break. Focal Point AFR Talk. Be right back. Stay with us.